Okay, my update about the war with Iran. It's years of following this, you understand the various variables about the petrodollar, about Israel, Zionism, uh, Christian nationalism in the United States, and all these sort of factors that explain why the U.S. is belligerent towards Iran and Israel even more so. And but now that the war has started, and I don't see any way out, all that stuff gets sort of um, it's now all combined. It's congealed into one sort of mass, and explaining anything in the past almost. I mean, it's still important about how the war originated, but now it's almost like this was like a previous chapter in the book, and it's only sort of interesting in the historical aspect. But going forward, it doesn't really have any relevance because it doesn't matter now why the war started because the war is here and there's no way for the US to back out of it because the US is a superpower. And historically, superpowers just don't back out of wars like this. I mean, or if they do so, very difficultly, whether you want to talk about Vietnam or Afghanistan, even Iraq to a certain extent. So here we are, we're in this war. Doesn't make a difference how we got there. And we see ourselves, Americans see themselves as the most righteous country, most powerful, most equality, greatest opportunity, the land of immigrants, all this stuff. And everybody has their own little collection of why they like it here. And you couple that with that we're all um, social creatures, that we all form around groups of whatever. It's this is no backing down, right? Because to back down is to basically admit that what you did was this unadulterated, pure, raw murder. Backing down is saying that, yes, you shouldn't have killed 160 schoolgirls somewhere in Iran. That, yes, as of yesterday, you shouldn't have carpet bombed Tehran. That, yes, you shouldn't have supported Israel in its destruction of Gaza. All these things, people do not like to admit that they're wrong. That's probably one of the, I mean, I think we can see this in everyday life on the simplest things. If you make a mistake and somebody calls you on it, just like, in your house, if you have a discussion all the time that you're always going to put the fork to the left or whatever, and then one day you don't, you put the fork to the right, and somebody says, "Oh, well, you're wrong," you're still going to defend it, even though you made a mistake and you understand it. That's just how people are. They don't. Um, they don't admit to weakness. They don't admit to uncertainty. It makes them anxious. People need to believe they have control. People hate, hate to feel helpless. And although many of us are helpless here to have stopped this war, to prevent it, we too, in a sense, are helpless. What can we do? There's nothing we can do. But at least when you're trying to stop a war, it's like you're in the struggle. But now the struggle is over. The war has began. So what are we struggling against? And so we have to, or I have to even like rethink everything about how I approach it, how I talk to people about it, because it's no longer doesn't make a difference what we've done. It does. I can say, you know, 7 ways to Sunday that this is the end of the U.S. empire. This is the end of the petrodollar. This is the end of U.S. Currencies as a reserve currency. And if a year ago you said to me, Max, what do you think about the decline of the U.S. world reserve currency? I would have said no. I said no. The reserve currency is going to last probably till I die. There's no way it's going to be truly threatened. I mean, yes, it's getting weakened, but no, it's still, the dollar is better than anything else. And unbelievably to me, I truly am shocked. I would say right now, do not hold dollars. I'm not saying, no, I wouldn't say don't hold dollars. I would say I don't see that the premium is worth it right now. I don't think it makes a difference whether you hold dollars or Japanese yen or won or whatever, pounds, euros. I mean, hold the currency of your country. I don't believe that the U.S. dollar now is like, you know, I mean, it's still powerful, but the future, the writing's written on the wall. So it's just going to decline from here on out. So it may be, yeah, in my lifetime, I'll never see the collapse of the dollar as the U.S. reserve currency. But with the attack of Iran, um, which just is just a hornet's nest of complex geopolitical mechanisms, finance, money, it's trade. Let's just even just call trade. It's a very, there's so many parts to it. So many, it's so complex, like a Swiss watch. And what Trump has done is he's basically stamped his foot on not Trump, but all the people around him, all these knuckleheads that are in government everywhere in Europe, the United States, whatever. They've basically, broken the watch, put the heel down, and now we're back to sundials. But sundials won't work, so we have to get back. We have to rebuild that watch. Where am I at? 6 minutes. I just wanted to do an update of where I think we're at. The war is not going to end. It's here. I've been saying for a few years we're in World War III. So that's one prediction I feel I've made that's correct. The other prediction I made a couple of years ago is that people would turn on Israel and Jews also, and that's already happening. That happens more and more and more as Americans need somebody to blame. It's not going to be themselves. It's going to be Israel. It's going to be Jews. So I feel it's trending that way in my direction. That I've been correct. I was incorrect that the U.S. dollar's reserve currency was good for another 30 years. I was incorrect about that. But we'll see. You win some, you lose some, whatever. You have to make it interesting, right? Okay. See you later.